All right, so we're looking at enrichment 2, 3, and this is over 0 powers. So first, what I want you to understand is that when we have powers, you're very familiar. So 2 to the 4th, 2 to the 3rd, 2 to the 2nd, 2 to the 1st, right? So 2 to the 4th is 16, 2 to the 8th is 2 to the 3rd is 8, 2 squared is going to be just 4, and 2 to the 1st is 2. So what is 2 to the 0? And so I want you to answer that. And as you notice this pattern, then this should end up being 1. And the reason that it's 1 is because, when you see these patterns, then you can tell that, well, logically it has to decrease. Now, when we look at this another way, last time we were looking at exponents and saw, like, if we did a division problem, like 2 to the m minus n is equal to 2 to the m divided by 2 to the n, right? These are equivalent. And we noticed that in what we did last time. But what if m and n were equal? What if they were both m's? Well, you would have 2m minus m, and m minus m would be 2 to the 0. Now, over here, if we think about it, 2 to the m and 2 to the m, well, that divided by each other, something divided by itself will be 1. And so this is proving that this should also be 1. Now, let's work just a few problems that hopefully you'll think are pretty straightforward. So if we had a problem like this, 6 to the 0 plus 6 to the 1st plus 6 squared, how would we solve that? So go and work that. So when we do this, 6 to the 0 is 1, 6 to the 1st is 6, 6 squared is 36, and so we end up with 43. Now we can have a different problem, and we have 4a to the 0 times 4a to the 0. Then we have 4 times 1. I'm showing you answers. Okay, so go and do that. Let me focus that better. To work it out. All right, so hopefully you saw the difference between 4a to the 0 and 4a to the 0. The parentheses matter here, and that's exactly right. So this whole quantity is to the 0 power, so this becomes 1. This a to the 0 becomes 1, but this 4 is still there, and so it's 4 times 1 times 1, which is 4. Now, let's do another problem that's a little bit trickier that might seem like it has nothing to do with what we're learning about. So if we have P equals parentheses 2 minus 3 minus 4 plus 7 to the 2,347th, you see how those numbers all match up? And Q equals negative 2, this is all in parentheses, plus 3 plus 4 minus 7, all to the 2,347th. What is the value of 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 7 to the P plus Q? So I want you to take a moment to work that out. All right. So as hopefully you might be stuck, and if you are, then I think what you should think about is that this is all about zero exponents. And so a good guess might to be think that somehow these are going to cancel or something about this is going to cancel. So um, I'm not actually going to make you do this one on your own, and because I'm worried that it's just a little too much. So this exponent is humongous, and that's scary. So let's first try and simplify p and q, and the value of p. Um, so if we think about this, and we want to simplify 2 minus 3 minus 4 plus 7, well, we end up with 2, right? So, and because, and then q is a little bit different, right? But similar, and we end up with, so this is 2 to the 2, 3, 4, 7. Q is going to be the same thing, but negative 2 to the 2,347. And because this is like we can, if we know our sign, like we can figure out the sign by knowing that this is odd, right? So since this is an odd power, we know that this will be an odd sign. So we can even get rid of these parentheses because they're not actually doing anything. So the values of P and Q are actually opposites. Do we see that? Like 2 to the 2,347, negative 2 to the 2,347, and we know this is going to be a negative value. So since they're opposites, then what that means is when we add them together in this part, what will they equal? Well, they're going to equal 0. And so anything, we don't even have to add these together because it's going to be taken to the 0 power. And so the answer to this whole giant thing is 1. And even though it was really scary, it's not that bad. So we're going to tomorrow work on some of these problems and together in our quizzes.